I want to address the Sound of Freedom hullabaloo because I feel like all these things are connected. You have a death cult that wants to harm children while in the womb, and then a death cult that will not stand to protect the innocent when they are out of the womb. The supposed mainstream media has declared war on the movie Sound of Freedom, campaigning it to be referred to as a QAnon conspiracy. Not too surprising, CNN would hop on that bandwagon, but especially odd as American Wire News points out that CBS, which once did a glowing segment on Tim Ballard nearly a decade ago, is now acting as if his rescuing children from sex slavery is a QAnon conspiracy theory. Ask yourself, why would that be? Here's a Twitter theory from John. He tweets, only thing I can figure is that they are so bent on not giving any credit to a right-winger or to any God-fearing men, they have to trash this. They'd rather that children be raped and their souls stolen than to have to give a right-winger or God-fearing man any respect. Just think about how depraved that is. But I can't think of any other reason. Or maybe it's because Disney, who these media companies are in bed with, had to eat humble pie. Now that a movie they put on the shelf for 5 years, Disney put this movie on the shelf for 5 years, has now made more money than the much anticipated Indiana Jones 5, even though Sound of Freedom has been playing in about half of the theaters as Indiana Jones. And I mean, I have always loved Indiana Jones with the rest of them, but obviously this is a much more important movie. And again, playing in half the theaters is drawing the crowds. I don't think they're too happy about that. Now, I'll tell you what, I just watched a documentary over the weekend on Jared from Subway. Remember that guy? Normal guy. Well, in the US, there's a summary, or in this movie, actually, I should say, there's a summary. A radio host ends up essentially honeypotting him to get him to admit he's a pedo. So here is what I was saying. Here's a US guy. He seems super normal, super average, but a radio host in Indiana, she ends up being able to charm him into admitting he's a pedo because she knew something was off. Well, she brings all this information to the FBI, who then threatens her that if she doesn't keep on trying to collect evidence, that she will be convicted of a felony for recording him. So she's strong-armed into doing the FBI's job and continuing to talk to this Jared from Subway guy, and he reveals the most awful things. She records him for years, disgusting recordings where he even admits to traveling to Taiwan and how much pleasure he gets out of going to Taiwan and being able to choose a 10-year-old boy to get pleasure from. Sorry for the frankness, but this is happening. This is real, and we need to be aware of it. The FBI drags its feet on this. Again, they strong-armed her into getting this information from him. It takes time away from her children and everything else. They drag their feet on this like they've done in so many other cases, unless it involves Trump, of course. So she goes to a different police department and saying, I'm afraid. He's around kids all the time. He's talking about a healthy lifestyle with kids, and the FBI is not doing anything about all this evidence I collected. Well, the FBI responds by raiding her home so she won't take it to the media, so that she won't blow the whistle on a child predator in the US that was Hollywood. I mean, he was in all the Subway commercials. He was in movies, like making a cameo, because this was Subway, the Subway guy, Jared. Well, it takes another police force to find evidence against Jared after arresting his business associate. Disgusting. So the FBI didn't even do anything. Meanwhile, while our justice system doesn't make the safety of children a priority, there's this. Larry Nassar reportedly stabbed multiple times in prison. He's in stable condition, according to Yahoo News. He's that sick gymnast who used his position to molest more than 200 athletes, kids. Why is there more justice in a prison than our current justice system, than our law enforcement? I also rewatched Father Stu this weekend. Mel Gibson in that movie, such a good movie as well. He's apparently working on a human trafficking documentary and also promoting Sound of Freedom. Check it out.
One of the most disturbing problems in our world today is human trafficking, and particularly the trafficking of children. Now, the first step in eradicating this crime is awareness.
So he's working on that, promoting Sound of the Freedom. And according to Post Millennial, also meeting with Trump. They were seen together with Roger Stone. Here's the article. President Donald Trump met with Hollywood legend Mel Gibson backstage during UFC 290 on Saturday night in Vegas. This meeting was hot on the heels of the inspiring success of the anti-child trafficking film Sound of Freedom at the box office. UFC boss Dana White had pledged just hours earlier to pay for all of his employees to see the groundbreaking film. And again, the mystery is mainstream media, they don't care that this independent film that was shelved for years is beating out in at least terms of profit a Disney Indiana Jones much anticipated film. They don't care that this is tackling a huge problem in America, America being the number one consumer of child sex slaves and giving the most money to this industry, which is about to surpass the drug trafficking industry. No, they don't care about that. Instead, they'd like to call it a conspiracy and tie it to QAnon. Here is when AP used to care. Here's an article from 2017. It says, AP exclusive, UN child sex ring left victims, but no arrest. Portion of the article here says that the portion of the article that really got me was this quote, I did not even have breasts, said a girl known as Victim 1. She told UN investigators that over the next 3 years, from ages 12 to 15, she had sex with nearly 50 peacekeepers, including a commandant who gave her 75 cents. Sometimes she slept in UN trucks on the base next to the decaying resort, once glamorous buildings were being overtaken by jungle. Justice for victims like that one is rare. The Associated Press investigation of UN missions during the past 12 years found nearly 2,000 allegations of sexual abuse and exploitation by peacekeepers and other personnel around the world, signaling the crisis is much larger than previously known. More than 300 of the allegations involved children, the AP found, but only a fraction of the alleged perpetrators served jail time. This is when the Associated Press, the news, just in 2017 seemed to care about this kind of stuff. The United Nations were the criminals in that case. And like it says, many of them never even had to face any consequences. And now they're demonizing, making fun of a movie that is about protecting children, about rescuing children. Where are we at as a society that this is actually happening and that this is acceptable and that we're not debasing these mainstream media organizations for not only ignoring this problem, but essentially mocking it and making fun of it?